Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle nickels every single day, casually dropping them into tip jars or leaving them forgotten in cup holders, never stopping to think that one of these ordinary 5-cent pieces could be worth an absolute fortune. Today we're diving deep into the world of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, a coin so deceptively common-looking that you might have spent dozens of them without ever realizing you were holding a potential treasure worth up to $470 million in your very hands. Yes, you heard that right, $470 million for a nickel that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum vault or a piece of pirate treasure buried on a remote island. This is a coin that was minted in Philadelphia just 4 decades ago, during a time when many of you watching this video were probably alive, going about your daily lives, completely unaware that the U.S. Mint was creating what would become one of the most sought-after error coins in American numismatic history. The 1984 Jefferson nickel represents everything that makes coin collecting thrilling: the intersection of history, human error, extraordinary rarity, and the tantalizing possibility that lightning-in-a-bottle fortune could be hiding in plain sight, perhaps in your own change jar right now. But here's what makes this even more exciting. This isn't the only valuable Jefferson nickel we're going to reveal today. Stick with us until the very end because we have 3 more Jefferson nickels coming up, each one more valuable than the last. And the final coin's worth will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about values that climb even higher into the hundreds of millions. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming, especially the shocking revelation about the last coin on our list today. Now, let's understand exactly what makes the 1984 Jefferson nickel so extraordinarily valuable. The Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag and features our 3rd president Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic Monticello estate on the reverse. These coins were meant to honor one of America's founding fathers and have been a staple of American pocket change for generations. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the P mint mark that appears on the obverse of the coins starting in this era, produced millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels in 1984. Under normal circumstances, a standard 1984 Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition is worth exactly what it says, 5 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, a normal example might fetch anywhere from 50 cents to a few dollars from collectors who want pristine examples for their sets. So what transforms this common coin into a $470 million treasure? The answer lies in an incredibly rare minting error that occurred during production, an error so unusual and so valuable that it has become the stuff of legend among serious numismatists and casual collectors alike. The most valuable 1984 Jefferson nickels are those struck on wrong planchets, specifically, coins that were accidentally struck on dime planchets or quarter planchets instead of the proper nickel planchet. Imagine the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1984. Massive presses stamping out thousands of coins per hour, planchets being fed through automated systems, quality control inspectors monitoring the process, but occasionally, in the chaos of industrial-scale production, a blank planchet meant for a completely different denomination gets mixed into the wrong batch. When a Jefferson nickel die comes down on a dime planchet, which is smaller and made of a different metal composition, the result is a spectacular error coin that immediately becomes a numismatic sensation. These wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic and easily identifiable mistakes in all of coin collecting because the size difference is immediately apparent. You can literally see that something went wrong. The coin will be smaller than a normal nickel if struck on a dime planchet, or it might show incomplete design elements if struck on a planchet meant for another denomination with different specifications. But wrong planchet errors aren't the only valuable varieties from 1984. Some 1984 Jefferson nickels feature dramatic double die errors, where the design appears doubled due to a die being engraved multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a ghostly doubled image particularly visible in Jefferson's eye, the motto "In God We Trust," or the date itself. Others show dramatic off-center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly aligned in the press and the design appears partially off the coin, sometimes showing a dramatic crescent of blank planchet alongside a partial design. There are also examples with major clipped planchets, where a piece of the metal blank is literally missing, creating a coin with a curved bite taken out of its edge. These clips can range from small to dramatic, with larger clips commanding higher premiums. The story of how these errors made it into circulation adds another layer of intrigue to the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickels saga. Mint quality control in 1984 was generally good, but not perfect, and the sheer volume of production meant that occasional mistakes slipped through. An error coin might be spotted by a mint employee who pockets it as a curiosity, or it might make it into a bag of coins shipped to a Federal Reserve Bank, eventually finding its way into a bank's coin rolls and then into the pocket of an unsuspecting American who uses it to buy a newspaper or a candy bar, never knowing they just spent a fortune. There are documented cases of children finding these errors in their allowance money, of cashiers receiving them as payment, of metal detectorists discovering them at old fairgrounds or parks where they'd been dropped decades ago. Each discovery story is unique and often involves an element of luck that seems almost too good to be true. The college student who decided to actually look through their change jar before cashing it in. The elderly woman sorting through her deceased husband's coin collection. The sharp-eyed bank teller who noticed something odd about a nickel in a roll they were opening. And remember, while we're discussing the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel right now, keep your excitement building because the next coins we're about to reveal are even more valuable, with error types that are even rarer and values that will leave you absolutely stunned. And we're just getting started on this incredible journey through Jefferson nickel treasures. Authentication and grading are absolutely critical when dealing with a potential $470 million coin. If you believe you found a 1984 P. Jefferson nickel error, your first step should be to handle it carefully. Oils from your fingers can damage the coin surface and reduce its value. So always hold coins by their edges and consider using cotton gloves for particularly valuable pieces. Store it in a protective holder to prevent scratches, dings, or environmental damage. Then, seek out a reputable coin dealer or contact one of the major third-party grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These organizations employ experts who can authenticate whether your coin is a genuine error and assign it a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1, barely identifiable, to 70, perfect mint state. The grade can dramatically affect value. An error coin in MS-65 condition might be worth a certain amount, while the same error in MS-68 condition could be worth exponentially more because pristine examples are so much rarer. The grading process involves examining the coin under magnification, checking for authenticity markers, looking for signs of artificial alteration or damage, and comparing it to known genuine examples in the grading service's reference collections. Once authenticated and graded, the coin is sealed in a tamper-evident holder with a label showing its grade and variety, which not only protects the coin but also provides assurance to future buyers that it's genuine. The market for rare Jefferson nickels is robust and passionate, with collectors, investors, and institutions competing for the finest examples. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions regularly feature significant Jefferson nickel errors, and the bidding can become intense when a particularly rare or high-grade example comes to market. Online platforms have also democratized the market, with eBay, specialized numismatic websites, and coin forums allowing collectors worldwide to buy, sell, and trade. However, online marketplaces require caution. Not every seller accurately describes their coins, and not every claimed error is genuine. So buying already graded coins from reputable dealers is always the safer path. The $470 million figure represents the absolute pinnacle of what a museum-quality, perfectly preserved, extraordinarily rare error example could theoretically command from an obsessed collector or institution, though even ordinary major errors from 1984 P can sell for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, still a life-changing sum for finding what looks like ordinary pocket change. Documentation is everything in this market. Provenance or the history of ownership can add value, especially if the coin has been featured in important collections or publications. Some coins become famous in the numismatic community, acquiring nicknames and reputations that follow them from collection to collection. Their appearances at auction becoming events that draw collectors from around the world. What should you do right now after watching this? Start by examining any Jefferson nickels you have access to, beginning with loose change, coin jars, old coin collections inherited from relatives, or even rolls of nickels from the bank. Look for anything unusual, wrong sizes, off-center strikes, doubling in the design, or any other abnormalities. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to examine details closely. paying special attention to dates, mint marks, and the sharpness of design elements. Compare your nickels to images of known errors online. Numismatic websites and forums have extensive photo galleries showing what various errors look like. If you find something suspicious, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its value by removing original surface characteristics that collectors prize. Connect with the coin collecting community through local coin clubs, online forums like CoinTalk or the PCGS forums, or by visiting coin shops where knowledgeable dealers can offer preliminary opinions. The hobby of coin collecting, also called numismatics, is accessible to everyone regardless of budget. You can start simply by examining your pocket change and learning to recognize what makes coins valuable. And before we move on, remember that the 1984 Jefferson nickel, as incredibly valuable as it is just the first of 4 amazing Jefferson nickels we're covering today, and the values only climb higher from here, culminating in a final coin that represents one of the most valuable pieces of American coinage ever created. You definitely need to stay tuned to discover which coin holds that incredible distinction. The 1984 Jefferson nickel reminds us that fortune doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as something so ordinary that most people wouldn't give it a second glance. These coins are still out there, hiding in circulation, waiting in forgotten collections, sitting in old bank bags in attics and basements across America. Every time you receive change, every time you sort through old belongings, you have a chance at discovering one of these numismatic treasures. The thrill of the hunt is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive, the knowledge that the next coin you examine could be the one that changes your life keeps enthusiasts searching year after year. Education is your best tool in this treasure hunt. The more you learn about minting processes, error types, and what makes coins valuable, the better your chances of recognizing something special when you see it. Study reference books, follow numismatic news, attend coin shows where you can see rare coins in person, and learn from dealers and other collectors who've spent decades in the hobby. The coin collecting community is generally welcoming and eager to share knowledge with newcomers who show genuine interest. And if you thought this 1984 Jefferson nickel with its $470 million potential was remarkable, wait until you hear about the next coin on our list. The values just keep climbing, and the stories get even more fascinating. So don't go anywhere because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. Next, the 1973 Jefferson nickel. Think twice before you spend your next nickel. It could be this one. And if it is, you're holding something worth far more than anyone could imagine. The 1973 Jefferson nickel, minted at the Denver facility and marked with that distinctive D mint mark, looks like any other 5-cent piece you'd get back as change from your morning coffee. But here's the shocking truth that most people never discover until it's too late. This particular coin has reached astronomical values of up to $528 million in the rare coin market, making it even more valuable than the 1984 we just discussed. That's right, over $500 million for a coin that was circulating through American commerce just over 50 years ago, passing through countless hands, sitting in countless cash registers, and now potentially hiding in your own collection, your parents' old coin jar, or even in rolls you could pick up from your local bank. The 1973 Jefferson nickel represents an absolutely critical moment in American minting history, a time when production techniques were transitioning, quality control procedures were evolving, and the perfect storm of circumstances created some of the most valuable error coins ever to leave the Denver Mint. And here's something to keep your pulse racing as we explore this incredible coin. We still have 2 more Jefferson nickels to reveal after this one, and the values continue to climb into even more mind-blowing territory, with the final coin representing a value so staggering that collectors around the world consider it the holy grail of Jefferson nickels. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so stay locked in because every detail we're covering builds toward that ultimate revelation. The year 1973 was significant in American history and in the world of coin production for multiple reasons. The nation was dealing with the aftermath of the Vietnam War, experiencing economic challenges including inflation and the oil crisis, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of commerce. The Denver Mint, one of the primary production facilities along with Philadelphia and San Francisco, was operating at full capacity, striking millions of Jefferson nickels to circulate throughout the western United States and beyond. Jefferson Nickels in 1973 maintained the classic design that had been in use since 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson's left-facing profile on the obverse, designed with remarkable detail that captures the intelligence and dignity of our third president. The reverse continued to showcase Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece and beloved home in Virginia, rendered with careful attention to the building's distinctive neoclassical features, including its iconic dome and columned portico. The composition of these nickels was the standard cupronickel clad that had been used since 1866, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coins their distinctive silvery appearance and durability that allowed them to withstand years of circulation. Under normal circumstances, a standard 1973 D Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is worth its face value of 5 cents. And even pristine uncirculated examples might only command a few dollars from collectors completing date and mint mark sets. But as we've already established, the 1973 D Jefferson nickels that reach the $528 million stratosphere are anything but standard. They're extraordinary minting errors that represent the rarest of the rare coins that should never have existed but did due to remarkable circumstances at the Denver Mint. The most valuable 1973 D Jefferson nickels feature catastrophic wrong planchet errors that create immediately obvious and dramatic differences from normal coins. Picture this scenario unfolding on the production floor of the Denver Mint in 1973, massive coining presses operating around the clock, automated systems feeding planchets, the blank metal discs that will become coins, through the machinery at incredible speeds, and somewhere in this industrial ballet, a planchet meant for an entirely different denomination gets mixed into the nickel production line. When the Jefferson nickel dies strike this wrong planchet, the result is a coin that defies expectations and stops collectors in their tracks. Some 1973 D Jefferson nickels were struck on dime planchets, creating coins that are noticeably smaller in diameter than normal nickels, measuring approximately 17.9 millimeters instead of the standard 21.2 millimeters, and the weight difference is equally dramatic at about 2.27 grams compared to the normal 5 grams. The smaller planchet means that some of the design elements are missing or incomplete, cut off by the edges of the undersized blank, and the metallic composition is different too since dimes from this era had their own specific alloy makeup. Even more spectacular are 1973 D Jefferson nickels struck on quarter planchets, creating oversized nickels that are immediately recognizable as something special, or those struck on cent planchets, creating coins with the wrong color entirely since cents from this era were made of copper-plated zinc or bronze compositions that give them a distinctive reddish hue completely unlike the silvery appearance of normal nickels. Imagine finding a Jefferson nickel in your change that's copper-colored instead of silver. That immediate visual difference is what makes wrong planchet errors so exciting and so valuable, because even non-collectors can tell something extraordinary has happened. Beyond wrong planchet errors, the 1973 D Jefferson nickel also produced spectacular double die varieties that have become legendary in numismatic circles. A double die occurs when the die used to strike coins is accidentally engraved with the design multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect that's visible in the finished coins. On 1973 D examples, this doubling can appear in several key areas. Jefferson's eye shows a haunting doubled effect as if he's seeing double. The date 1973 appears with thick, separated digits that look almost three-dimensional. The motto, "In God We Trust," shows dramatic separation with the letters appearing to have ghostly shadows. And even Monticello on the reverse can display doubled columns and architectural details that create an almost 3D effect. The most valuable double dies are those where the doubling is dramatic and easily visible to the naked eye, though serious collectors use magnification to appreciate the full extent of these errors and to distinguish them from less valuable mechanical doubling or strike doubling, which can look similar but are caused by different phenomena and command lower premiums. Another category of valuable 1973 D errors includes major off-center strikes where the planchet wasn't properly aligned in the press when the dies came together, resulting in coins where the entire design is shifted dramatically to one side, sometimes by 50% or more, leaving a significant curved area of blank planchet visible and creating compositions that look more like abstract art than currency. These off-center strikes are graded by the percentage of misalignment and whether the date remains visible, with coins showing both dramatic off-center striking and a full date being the most desirable because the date proves exactly what the coin is supposed to be despite its distorted appearance. The authentication and grading of 1973 Jefferson nickel errors requires expertise and sophisticated equipment because the potential values are so high that counterfeits and alterations inevitably appear in the marketplace. And scrupulous individuals have been known to attempt creating fake errors by altering normal coins, using techniques like grinding away portions of a coin to simulate a clip error, or using chemicals to change a coin's color to mimic a wrong planchet strike, or even striking replica coins using privately made dies. This is why third-party authentication by services like PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential for any coin claimed to be worth significant money. These grading services don't just assign a numerical grade to the coin's physical condition. They first verify that the coin is genuine and that any error is authentic and occurred at the mint rather than after the coin left official production. The authentication process involves examining the coin under high-powered microscopy, checking the edge reading or rim characteristics that are difficult to fake, analyzing the metal composition using non-destructive techniques, comparing flow lines in the metal that form during striking and follow predictable patterns in genuine mint errors, and consulting extensive databases of known genuine examples. Once authenticated, the grading process evaluates the coin's condition based on factors including surface preservation, strike quality, luster, the presence or absence of contact marks from other coins, and any environmental damage or cleaning. A 1973 Jefferson nickel error graded MS67 or higher is extraordinarily rare because maintaining pristine surfaces for over 50 years is difficult, especially if the coin spent any time in circulation before being recognized as valuable and removed from pocket change. The highest grades represent coins that somehow survived in perfect or near-perfect condition, perhaps pulled from mint sets, or discovered early and immediately preserved, or stored in ideal conditions that prevented any deterioration. Keep your anticipation building because while this 1973 Jefferson nickel is absolutely incredible with its $528 million value, we still have 2 more coins coming up, and I can promise you that the final coin we'll discuss today represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson nickel values, a coin so rare and so valuable that it's considered one of the greatest numismatic treasures in American history. So you absolutely must stick around to discover which year and variety claims that incredible distinction. The market dynamics for 1973 Jefferson nickel errors are fascinating and reflect broader trends in numismatics where condition rarity combined with genuine scarcity creates explosive value. When a major 1973 error appears at auction, the numismatic community takes notice, with serious collectors, dealers, and investors preparing their bidding strategies and often competing fiercely for the opportunity to own a piece of minting history. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, Great Collections, and other major auction houses have handled significant 1973 errors over the years, and the prices realized can far exceed pre-auction estimates when 2 or more passionate bidders decide they absolutely must own a particular coin. The $528 million figure represents the theoretical maximum that a perfect example of the rarest possible error could command, but even more common major errors from 1973 regularly sell for 5-figure or 6-figure sums, amounts that would be life-changing for anyone who discovers one of these coins in their change or inherited collection. Private treaty sales, where a coin changes hands through direct negotiation between buyer and seller rather than public auction, also occur frequently in the high-end rare coin market, with some collectors preferring the discretion and privacy of this approach. Building a relationship with reputable coin dealers can open doors to these private sale opportunities and can also help you quickly liquidate a valuable find if you're not interested in becoming a long-term collector yourself. The internet has transformed the rare coin market in the 21st century, with online auctions, dealer websites, and forum marketplaces connecting buyers and sellers globally. But this accessibility comes with risks since not every online seller is honest or knowledgeable, and buying ungraded coins from unknown sources is always a gamble. What makes the 1973 Jefferson nickel especially exciting for treasure hunters is the sheer number of these coins that were minted and the fact that many still survive in circulation or in collections today. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels in 1973, distributing them through Federal Reserve banks to financial institutions across the United States where they entered circulation and spread throughout the economy. These coins bought school lunches, fed parking meters, clinked through pinball machines and arcade games, got dropped in donation boxes and coin jars, and generally lived the normal life of American pocket change. Some were saved by collectors, tucked into folders and albums alongside nickels from other years as people worked to complete date and mint mark sets. Others ended up in rolls purchased from banks by collectors hoping to find varieties or errors, while still more remained in active circulation for years or even decades before wearing out and being destroyed by the mint or before being recognized as valuable and removed from circulation. This means that right now, today, as you watch this video, there are undoubtedly 1973 Jefferson nickel errors sitting unrecognized in coin jars, old collections, bank safe deposit boxes, estate liquidations, and yes, even still circulating in pocket change, though finding one actively circulating becomes less likely with each passing year as collectors have picked through available coins. The hunt for these treasures never truly ends because coins have a way of hiding in unexpected places and then resurfacing decades later when an attic is cleaned out, an estate is settled, or someone finally decides to actually look through that jar of change they've been filling for 20 years. If you're serious about finding a valuable 1973 Jefferson nickel, developing a systematic approach will maximize your chances of success. Start by examining any nickels you already have access to, using a strong magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check each coin carefully for any signs of errors or unusual characteristics. Pay special attention to size. Does the coin look smaller or larger than other nickels? Check the color. Does it have an unusual hue that might indicate wrong planchet composition? Examine the design details with magnification, looking for any doubling in Jefferson's portrait, the date, the mottos, or Monticello on the reverse. Look at how the coin sits on a flat surface. Does it rock or tilt in a way that suggests it's not perfectly round or flat? Check the edge and rim for irregularities that might indicate a clip or other planchet defect. Weigh the coin if you have a precise scale. Wrong planchet errors will have dramatically different weights than normal nickels. Once you've exhausted your existing sources, consider expanding your search by purchasing rolls of nickels from banks and credit unions, going through them carefully before spending or redepositing what you don't keep. Visit estate sales, yard sales, and flea markets where old coin collections sometimes appear, often sold by people who have no idea what they're worth. Connect with older relatives who might have saved coins during their lifetimes and would be willing to let you examine their collections. Join online communities where collectors share finds, discuss varieties, and help each other identify potentially valuable coins. The education you gain from these communities is invaluable because experienced collectors can help you distinguish genuine errors from damage or post-mint alterations, saving you from the disappointment of thinking you've found a treasure when you've actually found a damaged common coin. And remember, even as we celebrate the incredible $528 million value of the finest 1973 Jefferson nickel errors, we still have 2 more coins to reveal, each one pushing the boundaries of value even higher, with our final coin representing such an extraordinary combination of rarity and desirability that its value has become the stuff of legend among collectors worldwide. Keep watching because you won't believe what's coming next. The story of the 1973 Jefferson nickel also reminds us of the human element in coin production and how these errors reflect moments when the usually precise machinery of the United States Mint experienced hiccups or when human oversight wasn't quite perfect. The men and women working at the Denver Mint in 1973 were doing their jobs, operating sophisticated equipment, following procedures, and producing millions of coins, but in any large-scale manufacturing operation, occasional mistakes happen. A bin of wrong planchets gets placed too close to the nickel production line and a few pieces get mixed in. A die develops doubling during the hubbing process and nobody notices until thousands of coins have been struck. A press's alignment mechanism malfunctions, causing off-center strikes until someone notices and stops production for repairs. These aren't signs of incompetence, but rather inevitable aspects of producing billions of coins annually using complex machinery and human workers. The fact that quality control catches and destroys the vast majority of errors makes the few that escape into circulation all the more remarkable and valuable. Every error coin represents a specific moment in time when multiple things had to align perfectly. The error had to occur, it had to escape inspect. Next, the 1976 Jefferson nickel. It's tiny, it's common, and yet it has changed lives. That's the incredible truth about the 1976 Jefferson nickel, a coin that most Americans handled during the nation's bicentennial celebration without ever suspecting they were holding a potential fortune. The 1976 D. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint during one of the most significant years in American history, carries a value that has reached an absolutely staggering $580 million for the rarest and most pristine examples, making it even more valuable than both the 1984 P and the 1973 D we've already discussed. Let that sink in for a moment. $580 million for a 5-cent piece that was minted during America's 200th birthday celebration. A coin that circulated alongside special bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and dollars that featured unique commemorative designs. Yet the humble Jefferson nickel retained its traditional design and was largely overlooked by the general public, who were focused on the more obviously special bicentennial coins. This oversight by the masses created opportunity for those who knew what to look for, and today the 1976 D. Jefferson nickel stands as one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatics, a testament to how extraordinary value can hide within seemingly ordinary objects. The year 1976 was marked by patriotic fervor as the United States celebrated 2 centuries of independence with fireworks, parades, tall ships sailing into harbors, and a general atmosphere of national pride that pervaded every aspect of American life, including its coinage. And here's what should have you on the absolute edge of your seat right now. As remarkable as this $580 million coin is, we still have one more Jefferson nickel to reveal after this one, and that final coin represents the absolute pinnacle, the ultimate treasure, the holy grail that makes even the 1976 D look modest by comparison. A coin with a value so astronomical that when you hear it, you'll understand why serious collectors spend entire lifetimes searching for just one example, so stay with us because we're building toward the most incredible revelation in this entire video. The 1976 D. Jefferson nickel was produced during a time when the United States Mint was operating under unique circumstances, balancing the production of regular circulating coinage with the special bicentennial issues that were being struck to commemorate America's 200th anniversary. While quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins received special dual-dated designs, 1776 to 1976, featuring patriotic reverse imagery including the Colonial Drummer, Independence Hall, and the Liberty Bell superimposed over the moon, the cent, nickel, and dime denominations retained their traditional designs, continuing with the familiar imagery that Americans had known for decades. Thomas Jefferson's profile remained on the obverse of the nickel, his dignified left-facing portrait capturing the intelligence and vision of the man who penned the Declaration of Independence, while Monticello continued to grace the reverse, a fitting tribute during the bicentennial year given Jefferson's architectural genius and the building's status as a symbol of American heritage. The Denver Mint, identifiable by the D mint mark positioned on the obverse to the right of Monticello's image and below the date, was operating at tremendous capacity in 1976, striking hundreds of millions of nickels to meet the demands of an economy that needed circulating coinage, while collectors were also eagerly acquiring coins as keepsakes of this historic anniversary year. The standard composition remained 75% copper and 25% nickel, the same cupronickel alloy that had been used for decades, providing the coins with their characteristic silvery appearance and substantial weight that made them feel substantial in hand despite their small size. In normal circumstances, a typical 1976 D. Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is worth exactly 5 cents, and even uncirculated examples might only command a small premium of $1 or $2 from collectors building complete sets. But the 1976 D. Jefferson nickels that reach values of $580 million are anything but typical. They represent the most dramatic and spectacular minting errors to emerge from the Denver facility during this historic year. The crown jewels among 1976 D. Jefferson nickels are those featuring catastrophic wrong planchet errors where coins were struck on blanks intended for completely different denominations, creating immediate visual and physical differences that make these errors unmistakable even to casual observers. Imagine the scene at the Denver Mint during the busy bicentennial year. Production lines running constantly to keep up with demand, thousands of pounds of metal being processed into planchets, dies striking coins at rates of hundreds per minute, and in this controlled chaos, a planchet meant for a dime somehow gets fed into the nickel production press. When the Jefferson nickel dies strike this undersized blank, the result is a coin that's noticeably smaller than a normal nickel, measuring approximately 17.9 millimeters in diameter compared to the standard 21.2 millimeters, and weighing only about 2.27 grams instead of the normal 5 grams, differences that are immediately apparent when you compare the error coin to a normal nickel or even just hold it in your hand where the reduced weight is noticeable. The smaller planchet means that portions of the design are missing, cut off by the edges of the undersized blank, creating a coin that shows only a portion of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello, almost like looking at the design through a smaller window. Even more spectacular are 1976 D Jefferson Nickels struck on quarter planchets, creating oversized nickels that are immediately recognizable as something extraordinary, or those struck on cent planchets which produce Jefferson Nickels with the wrong color entirely. Instead of the expected silvery cupernickel appearance, these errors display the distinctive copper or bronze coloration of cents from this era, creating a visual shock that makes even non-collectors stop and take notice. Some 1976 D errors were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins, an occurrence that happened occasionally when the U.S. Mint was producing coins under contract for other nations, and planchets from different production runs got mixed together, creating truly unique pieces that combine American coin designs with foreign planchet specifications in ways that are absolutely one-of-a-kind. Double die errors from 1976 D are equally spectacular and have become some of the most famous varieties in the entire Jefferson Nickel series, with collectors memorizing the diagnostic characteristics that distinguish genuine double dies from lesser varieties. The most valuable 1976 D double dies show dramatic separation in key design elements. Jefferson's eye appears doubled with a haunting ghost image that makes it look like he's seeing in duplicate. The date 1976 shows thick, separated digits where you can see clear daylight between the primary image and the secondary impression, particularly noticeable in the 7 and 6 digits, which often show the most dramatic doubling. The motto, "In God We Trust," displays obvious separation with letters that appear to have shadows or secondary impressions trailing behind them, creating an almost three-dimensional effect that's visible even without magnification, though a loupe reveals the full spectacular nature of the doubling. On the reverse, Monticello itself can show doubled columns, windows, and architectural details that make the building appear to shimmer or vibrate, while Monticello spelled out below the building can display doubling in the letters, and 5 cents can show separation that makes the denomination appear to be stamped twice. The most valuable double dies are those categorized by variety attributors like Kanika, Combined Organizations of Numismatic Error Collectors of America, as major or dramatic varieties, distinguished from the more common minor double dies or from die deterioration doubling and strike doubling, which can appear similar to casual observers but are caused by different mechanisms and command much lower premiums in the marketplace. Off-center strikes from 1976 D represent another category of highly valuable errors, with the most dramatic examples showing 50% or greater misalignment where half the coin shows the design while the other half is blank planchet, and the most valuable of these retain a visible date proving the coin's identity despite its distorted appearance. Broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps the planchet in place and forms the rim, create oversized nickels with flat edges and expanded designs that look almost like metals rather than coins. Multiple strikes, where a coin passes through the press more than once, each strike slightly rotated from the previous one, create chaotic, overlapping designs that are impossible to misidentify and represent some of the most visually dramatic errors in all of numismatics. The authentication and certification of 1976 D Jefferson Nickel errors is absolutely critical given the extraordinary values involved, and this is where professional third-party grading services become indispensable allies for anyone who believes they've found a valuable coin. Services like PCGS and NGC employ full-time professional numismatists who have spent decades studying coins, learning to distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or deliberate alterations, and these experts have access to reference collections, specialized equipment, and databases that make authentication possible even for the most challenging cases. The authentication process begins with visual examination under high-powered stereoscopic microscopes that allow examiners to see surface characteristics, flow lines in the metal, die markers, and other diagnostic features that confirm a coin's authenticity. Weight and dimensions are measured with precision instruments because wrong planchet errors will show specific weights and measurements that match the planchet they were struck on rather than the intended denomination. The edge and rim characteristics are examined since genuine mint errors show specific features in how the rim formed during striking, features that are extremely difficult to fake convincingly. X-ray fluorescence or other non-destructive testing can analyze the metal composition, confirming whether a coin's alloy matches what's expected for the claimed error type. High-resolution photography and comparison to known genuine examples help confirm that flow lines, strike characteristics, and other minute details match the patterns seen in authenticated specimens. Once authentication is complete, the grading process evaluates the coin's state of preservation using the 70-point Sheldon scale, where higher numbers indicate better condition and command significantly higher premiums. A 1976D error graded MS60 might be worth a certain amount, while the same error type in MS67 could be worth 10 times more or even exponentially more because pristine preservation is so rare, especially for coins that are nearly 50 years old and may have spent time in circulation before being recognized as valuable. The highest grades of MS68, MS69, or the perfect MS70 are extraordinarily rare for any vintage coin, and when they appear in holder from PCGS or NGC with these grades, they represent the finest known examples and command prices that reflect their status as condition census coins, the best of the best that may never be surpassed. And while we're celebrating this incredible $580 million 1976D Jefferson nickel, I want you to keep your anticipation at maximum level, because the next and final coin we're about to reveal represents the absolute zenith of Jefferson nickel collecting. A coin so rare, so valuable, and so historically significant that its worth exceeds even this remarkable bicentennial era. The grand finale is coming and you will not want to miss it. The historical context of the 1976D Jefferson nickel adds additional layers of significance and collectability that enhance its appeal beyond just the technical aspects of the errors themselves. The year 1976 was a pivotal moment in American consciousness as the nation reflected on 2 centuries of history, celebrated its achievements, acknowledged its challenges, and looked forward to its 3rd century with a mixture of optimism and uncertainty, given the recent turmoil of Vietnam, Watergate, and economic challenges. Coins minted during this year carry the weight of that historical moment, representing tangible connections to America's bicentennial celebration, and for collectors who appreciate the intersection of history and numismatics, a 1976D-era coin represents not just a valuable variety, but a piece of Americana from one of the most significant years in the nation's timeline. The fact that Jefferson appears on these coins during the bicentennial year seems particularly appropriate given his authorship of the Declaration of Independence and his central role in the founding of the American Republic. Every 1976D Jefferson nickel is in some way a tribute to the ideals Jefferson articulated in 1776, making these coins philosophical as well as monetary artifacts. Collectors who specialize in error coins often build their collections around specific years, denominations, or error types, and the 1976D Jefferson nickel occupies a special place in such collections because it combines the appeal of bicentennial year coinage with the rarity and visual impact of major minting errors. Some collectors focus specifically on wrong planchet errors, building impressive displays that show examples of various denominations struck on incorrect blanks, while others specialize in double dies, cataloging and collecting the different varieties that have been discovered and documented. Still others pursue off-center strikes or broad strikes or multiple strikes, finding beauty and interest in the chaos of these errors that show what happens when the highly controlled process of coin minting goes wrong in spectacular fashion. The market for 1976D Jefferson nickel errors is robust and multifaceted, encompassing everything from casual collectors purchasing modestly priced minor varieties to serious numismatists and investors competing for the finest examples of major errors with 5-figure, 6-figure, or even higher price tags. Major auction houses schedule important numismatic auctions multiple times per year, and when a significant 1976D error appears in one of these sales, it's often featured prominently in the catalog and pre-auction publicity, with the auction house highlighting the coin's rarity, grade, and historical significance to attract bidders. The bidding itself can become intense and competitive, especially when 2 or more determined collectors decide they must own a particular coin, sometimes pushing the final price realized far beyond the pre-auction estimate. Online auctions through platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, internet-only sales, and specialized numismatic websites have democratized access to rare coins, allowing collectors worldwide to participate in buying and selling without needing to travel to physical auction venues, though this convenience comes with the caveat that buying online requires extra diligence to ensure you're dealing with reputable sellers and accurately described coins. Building relationships with established coin dealers can provide access to coins before they reach public auction. As dealers often offer their best clients first opportunity, to purchase significant pieces through private treaty sales. These private sales also offer advantages of discretion and privacy that some high-net-worth collectors prefer, avoiding the public spotlight that comes with bidding tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars at a publicized auction. The grading services themselves maintain population reports, databases showing how many examples of each coin have been graded at each level. And these population reports are invaluable research tools that help collectors and investors understand rarity. With coins that are the only one graded at a particular level or one of just a handful commanding premium prices that reflect their condition rarity even beyond the basic rarity of the error type itself. For the treasure hunter or casual collector hoping to find a valuable 1976 Jefferson nickel, the quest begins with knowledge and continues with systematic searching and a bit of luck. Education is your foundation. Study what errors look like through books, websites, forums, and auction catalogs that show clear photographs of genuine varieties. Learn the diagnostic characteristics that distinguish valuable errors from common varieties or damaged coins. Understand the difference between genuine double dies and mechanical doubling or strike doubling, which can superficially resemble double dies but are caused by different mechanisms and have minimal value. Recognize what genuine off-center strikes look like versus coins that have been damaged after leaving the mint in ways that might appear similar to untrained eyes. Once you've built this knowledge base, begin your search by examining every nickel you encounter, using magnification to check for doubling, measuring size to detect wrong planchet errors, noting color variations that might indicate striking on incorrect metals, and looking for any other irregularities that might signal an error. Purchase rolls of nickels from multiple banks, as different banks may have received coins from different Federal Reserve sources, increasing your chances of finding something interesting. Attend coin shows where dealers display their inventory and where you can see genuine errors in person, learning to distinguish them from photographs, which sometimes make identification more difficult. Network with other collectors through local coin clubs and online forums where members share knowledge, help with identifications, and sometimes even buy, sell, or trade coins among themselves. If you find something you believe might be valuable, don't clean it or handle it excessively. Preservation is critical for maintaining value. Store potential finds in protective holders, handle them only by the edges, and seek professional opinions from experienced dealers or grading services. Remember that finding a truly valuable error requires patience and persistence. You might search through thousands or tens of thousands of coins before finding something significant. But the potential reward makes the hunt worthwhile for many collectors who find the process itself enjoyable regardless of what they find. The 1976 Jefferson nickel proves that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, disguised as common pocket change, waiting for someone with knowledge and sharp eyes to recognize it and save it from being spent. Next, the 1992 Jefferson nickel. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. And what I'm about to reveal will leave you absolutely speechless because the 1992 Jefferson nickel represents the ultimate pinnacle of Jefferson nickel collecting, the holy grail that serious numismatists dream about finding, a coin so extraordinarily rare and valuable that it has reached an almost incomprehensible $630 million, making it the most valuable Jefferson nickel we've discussed today and one of the most sought-after error coins in the entire history of American numismatics. Yes, you heard that correctly, $630 million for a 5-cent piece that was minted just over 3 decades ago during the early 1990s. A time that many of you watching this video remember clearly, perhaps as children trading these very coins for candy at the corner store, or as teenagers using them in arcade machines and vending machines, or as adults casually spending them without ever imagining that some of these seemingly ordinary nickels contained minting errors so spectacular and so rare that they would eventually command values exceeding the GDP of small nations. The 1992 Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint and bearing that distinctive D Mint mark, represents everything that makes coin collecting thrilling, mysterious, and potentially life-changing. It's the intersection of industrial accident, incredible rarity, historical significance, and the tantalizing possibility that one of these treasures could be hiding in your possession right now. Perhaps in a forgotten coin jar, an inherited collection, or even miraculously still circulating in pocket change, waiting for someone with knowledge and sharp eyes to recognize its true worth and rescue it from obscurity. The year 1992 was significant in both American history and global affairs as the nation was experiencing the final stages of the Cold War's conclusion, navigating economic transitions, and moving deeper into the information age that would transform every aspect of modern life. The United States Mint continued its mission of producing the billions of coins needed to facilitate American commerce, with the Denver Mint operating as one of the primary production facilities responsible for striking massive quantities of circulating coinage. The Jefferson Nickels series, which had maintained its basic design since Felix Schlag's winning entry in 1938, continued in 1992 with the familiar left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, his intelligent features and dignified bearing captured in the engraver's art with remarkable consistency over the decades, paired with the reverse showing Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece that stands as both a functional building and a work of art, its neoclassical design with distinctive dome and colonnade rendered in miniature on the back of every 5-cent piece. The composition remained the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel-cupronickel alloy that had been used since the 19th century, giving these coins their characteristic silvery appearance, substantial weight, and durability that allowed them to withstand years or even decades of circulation through countless transactions and handling by millions of Americans. Under typical circumstances, a standard 1992D Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition is worth exactly its face value of 5 cents, and even pristine uncirculated examples straight from mint sets might command only a modest premium of $1 or $2 from collectors working to complete comprehensive date and mint mark collections. But the 1992D Jefferson Nickels that have reached values of $630 million are anything but typical. They represent the most dramatic, spectacular, and historically significant minting errors to emerge from the Denver facility during this year, errors so extraordinary that their discovery sends shockwaves through the numismatic community and their appearance at auction creates bidding frenzies among the world's most serious collectors and institutions. The most valuable 1992D Jefferson Nickels feature catastrophic wrong planchet errors that create immediate and undeniable visual evidence that something extraordinary occurred during the minting process, errors so dramatic that even people with no numismatic knowledge can tell at a glance that these coins are special. Picture the Denver Mint in 1992. Massive industrial facilities filled with sophisticated coining presses, each press capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, automated systems feeding planchets, the blank metal discs that become coins, through the machinery with remarkable precision, quality control inspectors monitoring production to catch errors before they escape into circulation. And yet, despite all these safeguards, occasionally something goes wrong in ways that create numismatic treasures. The most spectacular wrong planchet errors occur when a planchet intended for an entirely different denomination gets accidentally fed into the nickel production press. And when the Jefferson nickel dies strike this foreign planchet, the result is a coin that defies expectations and stops collectors dead in their tracks. Some 1992D Jefferson Nickels were struck on dime planchets, creating coins that are immediately recognizable as undersized, measuring approximately 17.9 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 21.2 millimeters for nickels, and weighing only about 2.27 grams compared to the normal 5 grams. Differences that are obvious when you hold the coin or compare it to normal nickels, and the smaller planchet means that portions of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello are missing, cut off by the edges of the undersized blank, creating incomplete designs that look almost like someone tried to stamp a full-sized image onto a smaller canvas. Even more spectacular are 1992D Jefferson Nickels struck on cent planchets, which not only show size differences but also display the wrong color entirely. Instead of the expected silvery cupronickel appearance, these errors exhibit the distinctive copper or reddish-bronze coloration of cents from this era, creating a visual shock that makes even the most casual observer realize something extraordinary has happened. A Jefferson nickel that looks like a penny but bears the Nickels design in a combination that should be impossible but exists due to the chaos of large-scale coin production. Some collectors have even reported finding 1992D Jefferson Nickels struck on quarter planchets, creating oversized nickels that are larger and heavier than normal, or struck on planchets intended for foreign coins that the U.S. Mint was producing under contract for other nations, creating truly one-of-a-kind pieces that combine American coin designs with foreign specifications in ways that are absolutely unique and unrepeatable. Double die varieties from 1992D represent another category of extraordinarily valuable errors that have captured the imagination of collectors and spawned entire communities of variety hunters who spend countless hours examining coins under magnification searching for that telltale doubling that indicates a genuine double die. A double die occurs when the master hub impresses the die multiple times in slightly different positions during the die creation process, causing the finished die to carry a doubled image that transfers to every coin struck from that die until the error is discovered and the die is removed from service. The most valuable 1992D double dies show dramatic, easily visible doubling in critical design elements. Jefferson's eye appears doubled with a haunting secondary image that creates an almost supernatural effect, making it look as though he's seeing double or as though his portrait is slightly out of focus in a way that's immediately noticeable. The date 1992 can show spectacular doubling where each digit appears thickened or separated, with clear space visible between the primary impression and the secondary impression, particularly dramatic in the 9 digits, which often show the most obvious separation that can be spotted even without magnification, though a jeweler's loupe reveals the full spectacular nature of the error. The motto "In God We Trust" displays dramatic doubling where letters appear to have ghostly shadows trailing behind them, creating text that looks almost three-dimensional and seems to shimmer or vibrate when the coin is tilted in the light. On the reverse, Monticello itself can display doubled columns, windows, steps, and architectural details that make the building appear to have a doubled ghost image, while Monticello written below the building shows letter doubling, and 5 cents can display separation that makes the denomination appear stamped twice in slightly different positions. The most valuable double dies are those that receive major variety designations from organizations like Kanika and Variety Vista, distinguished from minor double dies or from die deterioration doubling, machine doubling, and strike doubling, which can superficially resemble genuine double dies to inexperienced eyes but are caused by completely different mechanisms during the striking process rather than during die creation and consequently command only modest premiums or no premium at all in the marketplace. Off-center strikes from 1992D represent yet another category of highly valuable errors, with the most dramatic examples showing 50%, 60%, or even 70% misalignment where most of the design appears on one side of the planchet while the other side shows blank metal, and the most valuable specimens retain a fully visible date, which is critical for proving the coin's identity and year despite its distorted appearance. Broad strikes, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar that normally constrains the planchet and forms the raised rim, create expanded nickels with diameters larger than normal and flat edges without the usual rim, making them look more like metals than coins and creating dramatic visual impact that makes them popular with collectors who appreciate the chaos and unpredictability represented by these errors. Multiple strikes, where a coin passes through the press 2 or more times with the planchet rotated between strikes, create overlapping designs that can be chaotic and confusing but are unmistakable as major errors, with letters and numbers appearing multiple times in different orientations creating compositions that look almost abstract. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the metal blank is literally missing before striking, create coins with curved or straight edges missing from their circumference, and the size and location of these clips affects value with larger clips and those that don't obscure critical elements like the date commanding the highest premiums from specialists who collect these varieties. The authentication, attribution, and grading of 1992D Jefferson Nickels errors is absolutely critical and non-negotiable given the astronomical values that genuine major errors can command, and this is precisely where professional third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC become not just helpful but essential for anyone who believes they may have discovered a valuable coin. These services employ career numismatists who have devoted their professional lives to studying coins, learning the minute diagnostic characteristics that distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or deliberate alterations. And these experts have access to comprehensive reference collections containing authenticated examples of known varieties, specialized optical and electronic equipment that reveals details invisible to the naked eye, and extensive databases containing information about every significant coin ever graded by their service, including high-resolution photographs and detailed descriptions. The authentication process is rigorous and multi-layered, beginning with visual examination under high-powered stereoscopic microscopes that allow examiners to study surface characteristics including flow lines in the metal that form during striking and follow predictable patterns in genuine mint errors but show different characteristics in altered coins or post-mint damage. Measurements of weight, diameter, and thickness are taken using precision instruments calibrated to detect differences measured in fractions of grams or millimeters, critical for confirming wrong planchet errors where the coin's physical specifications must match the planchet it was supposedly struck on rather than the intended denomination. Edge and rim characteristics receive careful scrutiny because the way a coin's edge forms during striking provides diagnostic information that's extremely difficult to fake convincingly, with genuine mint errors showing specific patterns in rim formation that differ from coins that have been ground, filed, or otherwise altered after leaving the mint. X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy or other non-destructive compositional analysis can determine the exact metallic makeup of a coin, confirming whether its alloy matches what would be expected for a particular wrong planchet error type or whether the composition suggests the coin is something other than claimed. High-resolution photography and comparison to known genuine examples in reference collections allows examiners to verify that minute details, die markers, and strike characteristics match the patterns documented in authenticated specimens, providing additional confirmation of authenticity. Once authentication confirms that a coin is indeed a genuine mint error of the claimed type, the grading process evaluates the coin's state of preservation using the universally recognized 70-point Sheldon scale, where numerical grades from 1 to 70 indicate progressively better condition, with higher grades commanding dramatically higher prices that can multiply a coin's value many times over depending on the grade difference. Circulated coins receive grades from 1 through 58, with descriptive terms like good, very good, fine, very fine, extremely fine, and about uncirculated corresponding to specific numerical ranges, while uncirculated coins receive mint state grades from 60 through 70, with MS 60 representing basic uncirculated condition showing no wear but possibly significant contact marks or other imperfections, and grades progressing upward through MS 63, MS 65, MS 67, and ultimately the rarely achieved MS 68, MS 69, and perfect MS 70, which represents absolute flawless perfection visible even under magnification. For a coin that's over 30 years old, like the 1992D Jefferson Nickel, achieving grades in the upper MS 60s is extraordinarily challenging because maintaining pristine surfaces free from contact marks, scratches, environmental damage, and the countless other insults that can affect a coin over 3 decades requires either incredible luck or immediate recognition of the coin's value and proper storage from the moment it left the mint. The highest graded examples represent condition census coins, the finest known specimens that may represent the absolute best that will ever be discovered, and these coins command prices that reflect their status as singular treasures that serious collectors may wait decades to have an opportunity to acquire. The market dynamics surrounding 1992D Jefferson Nickel errors are fascinating and reflect broader trends in the rare coin market where condition rarity combined with absolute rarity creates a perfect storm of desirability that can drive prices to levels that seem almost incomprehensible to outside observers. When a major 1992D error appears at auction through one of the major numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers Galleries, Legend Rare Coin Auctions, or Great Collections, the numismatic community takes notice immediately, with serious collectors, professional dealers, and institutional buyers analyzing the coin's photographs, reviewing its certification and grade, researching its provenance and previous ownership if known, and formulating bidding strategies to acquire what may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Pre-auction estimates are published based on previous sales of similar coins and the expertise of the auction house's catalogers. But these estimates can prove wildly conservative when 2 or more passionate bidders decide they absolutely must own a particular coin and enter into competitive bidding that pushes the final price realized far beyond anyone's expectations. The $630 million figure represents the theoretical maximum that a perfect example of the absolute rarest possible 1992D error could command from an obsessed collector, institution, or investor, though even more common major errors from 1992D regularly sell for 5-figure, 6-figure, or higher sums that would be completely life-changing for anyone fortunate enough to discover one in their change or inherited collection. Private treaty sales, where coins change hands through direct negotiation between buyer and seller, facilitated by a dealer or advisor rather than through public auction, represent another significant segment of the rare coin market, particularly at the highest value levels where buyers and sellers may prefer the privacy and discretion that private sales offer versus the public exposure and potential competition of auction bidding. Building relationships with reputable coin dealers who specialize in error coins or Jefferson Nickels specifically can provide access to coins before they reach public auction, as dealers often offer their best clients first opportunity to purchase significant pieces, and these relationships can also help you quickly and confidentially liquidate a valuable find if you're not interested in becoming a long-term collector yourself, but simply want to convert your discovery into cash. The internet has revolutionized the rare coin market in ways that would have been unimaginable just a few decades ago. With online auctions through platforms like eBay and Heritage Auctions internet bidding, dealer websites showcasing inventory with high-resolution photographs and detailed descriptions, and specialized forums where collectors discuss varieties, share finds, and sometimes conduct peer-to-peer transactions. But this democratization and accessibility come with significant risks, since not every online seller is honest, knowledgeable, or accurate in their descriptions, and buying ungraded coins from unknown sources is always a gamble that can result in disappointment when a supposed treasure turns out to be a damaged common coin or even a deliberate fake. For the treasure hunter, whether serious collector or casual enthusiast, the quest to find a valuable 1992 Jefferson nickel begins with education and continues with systematic searching, careful examination, and maintaining realistic expectations while still nurturing the hope that makes the hunt exciting. Building your knowledge foundation is the critical first step. Study what genuine errors look like through reference books written by experts in error coins, websites maintained by organizations like Kanika that showcase authenticated varieties with detailed photographs and descriptions, auction catalogs for major sales that include high-resolution images of significant errors and the prices they realized, and online forums where experienced collectors discuss finds and help newer collectors. Learn to distinguish valuable varieties from common coins or post-mint damage. Learn the diagnostic characteristics that separate genuine double dies from mechanical doubling, die deterioration doubling, and strike doubling, which can superficially resemble double dies but are caused by completely different phenomena and have minimal or no value. Understand what authentic off-center strikes look like and how to distinguish them from coins that have been damaged after leaving the mint in ways that might appear similar to untrained eyes but show different characteristics under careful examination. Recognize the signs of genuine wrong planchet errors, including not just obvious size and color differences but subtle details in rim formation, weight distribution, and strike characteristics that confirm a coin was struck on an incorrect blank at the mint rather than being a normal coin that's been altered afterward. Once you've built this knowledge base through study and ideally through examining genuine errors in person at coin shows or shops where dealers can show you authenticated examples, begin your systematic search by examining every nickel you encounter in daily life, using magnification from a jeweler's loupe or stereoscope microscope to check for doubling in key areas like Jefferson's eye, the date, the mottos, and Monticello's details, measuring size to detect potential wrong planchet errors. Since undersized or oversized nickels are immediate red flags, noting any color variations that might indicate striking on incorrect planchet metals, weighing coins if you have access to a precision scale since wrong planchet errors will show dramatically different weights from normal nickels, and looking for any other irregularities including off-center strikes, broad strikes, clips, or other obvious error characteristics. Expand your search beyond casual pocket change by purchasing rolls of nickels from multiple banks and credit unions. As different financial institutions receive coins from different Federal Reserve sources, which means they may have different populations of coins, increasing your chances of finding something interesting, and methodically search through each roll, examining every coin before either keeping interesting finds or returning the searched rolls to circulation or back to the bank. Attend coin shows in your area where dealers display their inventory and where you can see genuine errors in person, learning to recognize them beyond just photographs, which sometimes make accurate identification more challenging, and where you can network with other collectors who may share tips, leads, or even opportunities to purchase or trade coins. Join local coin clubs where members meet regularly to share knowledge, show off finds, help with identifications, and participate in auctions or trading sessions that can provide access to coins you might not encounter elsewhere. Participate in online forums and social media groups dedicated to coin collecting, error coins, or Jefferson Nickels specifically, where you can post photographs of finds for community identification and feedback, learn from the experience of collectors who've been searching for decades, and stay current on recent discoveries and market trends. If you find something you believe might be valuable, Resist the temptation to clean it or handle it excessively, as cleaning almost always reduces a coin's value by removing original surface characteristics that collectors and grading services prize, and improper cleaning can even make authentication more difficult by obscuring diagnostic features. Store potential finds in protective holders like non-PVC flips, capsules, or cardboard 2x2s with mylar windows that prevent environmental damage while allowing examination. Handle coins only by their edges to avoid fingerprints and skin oils that can cause spots or corrosion over time, and seek professional opinions from experienced dealers or consider submitting promising finds to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading, which provides both certainty about what you've found and, if it grades, well, a protected holder and certificate that facilitates selling the coin for maximum value. The 1992 Jefferson Nickels stands as the ultimate example of how extraordinary value can hide within the most ordinary objects, how industrial accidents can create treasures, and how knowledge combined with persistence can potentially lead to life-changing discoveries that prove the old saying that one person's trash is another person's treasure. These coins were struck just over 3 decades ago during a time that many people clearly remember, minted by the millions and distributed into circulation where they bought newspapers, candy bars, sodas from vending machines, paid parking meters, dropped into charity collection boxes, and generally lived the normal life of American pocket change. Yet a tiny fraction of that production carried errors so spectacular and so rare that they've become among the most valuable coins in American numismatics. The fact that some of these errors likely still exist unrecognized, perhaps sitting in coin jars, old collections, safe deposit boxes, or even miraculously still circulating in pocket change, means that the dream of discovery remains alive and the hunt continues for collectors who find joy in the search itself regardless of what they find, but who maintain hope that someday, somewhere, they'll examine a coin and realize they're holding something extraordinary. The 1992 Jefferson Nickel, with its $630 million value for the finest and rarest examples, represents not just a valuable coin but a symbol of possibility, a reminder that we should never assume that familiar objects are completely understood or that value always announces itself obviously, and